Okay, how about now? Oh, thank you, Weeping Aspen and Ninja Librarian. Can you guys hear me now? Cool. Before I was told that there was kind of like a high-pitched whining sound. Is that better? Has that resolved itself? Perfect. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your help with this. You wouldn't believe it, but I did do like an audio test before we started. It just ghosts in the system. I guess it is the season for spooky things, and my poor microphone had to pay the price. So thank you guys for letting me know that it does sound better, because I was actually kind of really worried about that. I was like, uh-oh, what have I done? What have I done to this poor system? So cool. All right. Yay. So, I am going to quickly start from the beginning to just recap. Having constructed your cosplay, you'll want to make sure that you understand how you want to maintain your cosplay before you pick the materials you want to construct them out of. So, like, if it's cotton, and you know that you want it to be something that you can easily throw into the washing machine, just make sure that you pre-wash the fabric before you build it, so that when you go to throw it in the washing machine after constructing it, it doesn't shrink, because it'll already have been washed and dried and shrunk. So that way when you build it, it hopefully will not wash and dry and shrink on you again. So that's like the one tip that really helped. And it really helps a lot too, because taking care of and cleaning your, cosplay pieces and things like that, that kind of makes them have that longevity, right? Because you're putting in all of this time, effort, and money into building things that you love and you want to wear. You want to make sure that you have the ability to, continue to wear them for as long as possible. And yeah, that was pretty bright. Okay, so that you have the ability to continue wearing them for as long as possible. And one of the ways to do that is to make it easier to maintain and clean. So my other tip is that if you are going to be making props, or you're going to be altering props, like sometimes you might have like a prop piece of like a weaponry or something like that. It's very iconic for your character, like say Batman's batarangs, and so you craft these cool batarangs, right? So after you craft the batarangs and you paint them and everything, definitely make sure to put some sort of clear coat over them or some sort of sealant over them, because 110% you'll end up getting, makeup on it, or you'll get, fingerprints on it, things like that from a day of the con, and you want to be able to easily wipe that off. So by making sure to apply like either a Mod Podge, if you don't want it to be shiny, you can always use a matte Mod Podge, or you can use the gloss Mod Podge for shiny. Will give that protective barrier, so that you can actually even take like Clorox bleach wipes and just like disinfect and wipe down your props when you're done at the end of the day. So that kind of keeps them looking clean and healthy. Now, if you're doing a prop that's not supposed to look clean and healthy, like maybe you love Borderlands and you're doing some Borderlands stuff, they don't look super clean. They have like very defined lines, and they're gritty and all that other stuff. Or maybe you have some sort of post-apocalyptic thing. The best part is after you dirty those pieces up, or after you add the dirt and the grime and whatnot, you can still clear coat that with the dirt and grime on it, and that clear coat will protect the paint job and the distressing that you have done on that piece, and so that you can actually use that piece exactly like the batarang, where you can take it, walk around, if it gets dirt, fingerprints, whatever on it, and once it has that clear coat on it, you can just take a Clorox bleach wipe and you can just wipe it away and make sure that's nice and clean for the next time you want to use it, like dirty clean, like clean but still dirty looking, because that clear coat has protected it. Does that make sense? I hope so. So, that's my tip on props. That's my tip on fabric. I do have, these are kind of like, they should have been obvious tips to me, but they weren't. So I have a couple of quick, like, little travel tips as well. Because I like to attend, like, a lot of conventions in the Midwest. Like, some of them are easily just like, a day drive. or maybe down the road, especially like locally, like Kalamazoo and things like that. Maybe this doesn't necessarily apply to those kind of trips. But if it's going to be a farther drive, like maybe you're going all the way, 2 hours away, 3 hours away, or maybe you're even staying overnight, you're going to want to, hopefully before you construct any large prop pieces, you're going to want to consider how you're going to travel with that piece and how you're going to get that costume, that prop, or whatever cosplay piece you're working on to the cosplay, like, convention or whatever you're attending. So if it's like large staffs, maybe consider having a connector in the middle, or maybe several if it's a very large staff, just so that it can easily fit in either a suitcase or in your trunk. If you're driving, obviously your trunk would be what you'd want to measure, make sure it fits in there. If you plan on flying with it, like maybe you're like, oh, I want to go to this convention on the other side of the country and I want to be able to fly with this and put it in a checked bag. You'll want to measure the inside of whatever luggage that you're going to use to make sure that that prop piece can break down small enough so that it can fit inside of your luggage without being damaged, and hopefully without weighing too much that your luggage will be too heavy too. So maybe check with whatever airlines you're used to flying with, or whatever airline you're thinking you're going to fly with, and kind of see the weight limit on that. Especially for those of you out there like to do like the monster huge builds with like all the armor pieces and things like that. You might want to kind of like weigh the pieces as you go and figure out how you're going to break that down before you fly with it, or maybe just drive. Maybe it's cheaper to drive. I'm not sure. Goes with your light. Oh, thank you. He said that I have a nice Jedi outfit. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So I made this actually. Fun fact, this was actually made out of cottons and linens so that it could be thrown in the wash, because I absolutely love to play in my costumes. And if I have like a Jedi outfit, I'm gonna be outside. I'm gonna be swinging out, my lightsaber and running around and probably getting like, grass and dirt and whatever else in it. And I wanted it to be something I could easily throw in the wash. So this is actually one of those pieces that I have benefited from having that ability to just be like, you go, and then wash and dry like normal, and then I can wear it for the next time. So that's pretty beneficial. If you do have pieces that have like armored shoulder padding and things like that, but the main body of it's something that you would be comfortable throwing in the wash, instead of attaching the metal pieces directly to the fabric, you could always put like Velcro or like connectors, like snap connectors in here, things that you could unattach those heavy pieces with so that you could throw the fabric in there, because that's always an option too. And if you do have heavy pauldrons that are on any of your like soft cloth pieces, you'll want to make sure that you can remove them before you either hang them up or store them, because they can actually stretch out your fabric material over time. Like, we don't wear them every day, so it could be, in my case anyways, it could be a couple of months to maybe even a year before I pull out something with armor on it again to wear. And if you leave those heavy armor pieces on it, like my Destiny Hunter character has like a heavy metal chest piece that I made out of Warbla and foam, but it's actually quite weighty. I made it so that it can separate from the fabric, like corseted pieces that I have, and like this kind of scuba hex that I have for the arms, because it would weight and it would pull those down. So we definitely want to make sure that anything heavy that could pull and weight onto your fabric pieces is detachable, so that one, ease of cleaning, and two, so that it doesn't actually stretch out and ruin your fabric pieces before the next time you want to wear them is. So that's a good other tip that I wanted to go ahead and give you. Have a friend bring one of your bags. Yeah, that's true too. If you happen to be in a situation, so mini story time. This did happen to me. I recently was fortunate enough to have the ability to go to Galaxy's Edge, and we did some Batu bounding down there, and that's kind of where you're not fully in costume, but you're wearing like cosplay elements. And while I was there, I may or may not have procured a bunch of items that are super fun cosplay pieces, you know, like lightsabers, holocrons, and I got a droid. And it was quite a lot to bring back. And so I now had to pack this droid into my checked bag and make it back, but I had already come with a fully checked bag. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to buy another bag and pay to have this other bag so that I can make sure this is safe. And I did have a friend, like if you're going with a friend and like Southwest allows you to have like 2 checked bags, they were like, hey, I can take one of your checked bags for you so you don't have to pay for an extra bag. So that's something too, if you are traveling with friends at conventions, and you guys have costumes or you're attending something together like that. We attended Galaxy's Edge together. You can kind of coordinate and plan together like how you want to divide your stuff so that it fits and meets all of your airline specifications, as well as make sure that you can get the pieces you need to get there safely without having anything get damaged. And thankfully, that's actually Long Story Short Cosplay and Jay-Z Cosplay, who are down there with me. Between all of us, we were able to hopefully and safely get all of our stuff back here, and the copious amounts of extra. Basically, I bought more cosplay stuff while I was down there. All the cosplay stuff that I bought, we got it down here, and it was safe, and nothing got damaged. So big shout out to them for helping me with that. But that is, thank you for bringing that up. That is something that is very useful. Is to, coordinate with other members of your party on how you're going to travel with things. If you have other members in your cosplay group or that are sharing hotels with you, kind of like communicate with them and see what works best for you. So you have gotten your stuff to wherever you need to get it to, and you're now in costume, and you're having a great time. But then, dun dun dun, tragedy strikes. Something is broken. Something is, ripped. Something is torn. Something has gone wrong in your costume. So what do you do now? Well, I found that the best thing for me to do was just plan for something to go wrong. Like, think ahead of all of the things that could go wrong with your costume or with your prop, and try to make like concessions of like, well, what can I do if this happens, and what should I bring? So I have like this little kit that I made. It used to be like a big kit. It's now just kind of a little pocket kit. I went to, dollar store, got a little plastic container, and I filled it full of all of the things that could go wrong if something happens. I call it my OMG box. Like, oh my god, this thing went wrong with my costume. This thing went wrong with my prop, and now I need to fix it on the fly because I'm already here, and obviously my sewing machine's at home, or whatever I used to build it is not here. How do I fix this right now, or how do I make it so this is wearable and enjoyable for this convention right now? And that was to build your own like emergency cosplay kit. So I'm gonna these are the things in my little triage kit. It's actually really warm in here. I might take this off, but these are the little things that are in my triage kit that I found that are really, really helpful and beneficial to have. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get yourself some sort of container like this. This is my container. I wrote OMG 3000 on it because I did a little cute little video about me building this. So if you do want a step-by-step video on how to build one exactly like this, it is on my YouTube channel, so you can go check that out. I'm just going to give you a brief overlay of the things that I throw in here, but obviously if you want it more in depth, you can check that out. But yeah, so you get yourself a container like this, and then you put important little things inside of the container. So in mine, I have safety pins and I have bobby pins. So safety pins, if anything rips, like a seam rips out or something like that, you can usually safety pin it together temporarily. Bobby pins if you have a hat that won't stay on because it's very windy, or maybe your wig is sliding, or something of that kind of nature. Bobby pins, just having them in the case so you can grab them and just add an extra one for the weight or whatever, super helpful. I also keep inside like a little tiny container of like E6000. The reason is because even though hot glue is faster, if you're going to sit down for like a second and grab something to eat or something, you could just do like a little E6000. It doesn't need electricity to plug it in. It works like super glue, and it's really sturdy. And unlike super glue, I feel like this can hold heavier gem pieces. It can hold heavier, like, so say you have like a medal that's on, this is my badge for my armor or whatever, right? And it's supposed to be like right here on this piece of armor, and it was an attachment. If it falls out, then you could always just take a little bit of this, put it on the back, press it, and then while you guys are having lunch or whatever, it'll harden. But it can hold heavier things than like just basic super glue could. I've used this so many times at conventions for bits of armor that are coming undone, or maybe something got dropped and like the scope on your weapon snapped off, and you can E6000 it like right back on there. It doesn't require electricity, and it doesn't unlike hot glue, if you're in an area where it gets really hot, like say it's summer and it's like 80-90 degrees, super glue can actually reheat up, and if it reheats up, then your piece could either shift or completely detach. This can withstand higher temperatures, so I always keep this in my box. So that's always helpful. Inevitably, I know that I'm going to want to eat or drink something in costume, because I tend to put my costumes on and do like the whole day in costume. But if you like spill something on your fabric pieces, then you should shout it out. They make these really cute little tiny shout pads, and I've used these a lot. I've also used them for lipstick, like on collars. If I've gotten like lipstick or makeup or something on like a white collar, like for my UA, My Hero uniform, or if you're wearing anything that has like a high collar and it gets onto your neck, you can use these to kind of just get that out really quickly without having to let the stains set there or have it on there for a while. These are really handy, and because they're like one-time use only, you just like pop them in here. Super great. Band-aids. You're gonna want band-aids, because sometimes the shoes you think are super comfy aren't. And it might be nice to put a Band-Aid on like your heel or something to prevent it from, causing a blister, especially if it's starting to really ache. Or, maybe you picked up some paper, like there's always like paper handouts and things like that, and you cut your finger open. Well, you don't want to bleed all over your costume that you work so hard on. So Band-Aids, they're super helpful. I use them a lot. I actually paper cut myself already today. I got Batman in mine. You can put whatever kind you want in there. You can either match your skin tone or go like crazy. I just own up. I own up to my boo-boos, and I'm like, I want a Batman Band-Aids, because yes. I also have mermaid ones. But yeah, get some fun Band-Aids, put them in your kit, have a good time. And then so this is also a really cool thing that I've used is Velcro, like self-adhesing Velcro. So they look like this. Boop. They're two little pieces of Velcro strips, right? And they separate like normal, see? These are actually like industrial strength, so they're really tough, okay? So you got the soft side and you got the crunchy side. This has a little plastic piece. I hope you guys can see it. Yeah, you can see it. Okay, cool. This has like a little clear plastic piece that when you peel it off, it's actually a sticky adhesive underneath. So this is actually really helpful if you have like armor piece pauldrons and things like that maybe you built some ways for it to attach, but now that you're walking around, you notice that it has a little too much play in it, or it wobbles, or it doesn't quite stay where you want it to stay. If you include something small like this into your kit, you can easily do the adhesive side, press it onto one side, press the other one onto your fabric, stick it, and it'll hold that wobbly pauldron or whatever piece you want to not have as much play in it, and it can hold it down. At least for the day, so that you can always like plan something later. I've had these actually last longer than the day, I tend to like to quick tack the ends just to keep them in place if I'm going to keep them there long term. But they have lasted for like a whole day plus at a con and never let me down. So these guys, they're kind of a good thing to keep in there. And then, you know, if you have any pieces or props that have light up elements that need batteries in them, even if you were like, I just put brand new batteries in this and it's going to be fine for the day, bring a couple extra just in case. Maybe pop those in there, whatever kind you need. I noticed that when I did my Destiny Hunter, I had this whole like light up gauntlet. It had these really cool, like a gem here and like a thing here. It was really cool looking. On the back of it, I had like a 9-volt battery that I thought was brand new before we got to the con. About halfway through the day, it just died. But luckily, we had an extra one, so I could just pop it out, pop a new one in, and then I was good to go again. But if I didn't, that element of my costume wouldn't have been as cool as I had intended it to. And if you put all the work into making like light up elements or sound elements or anything like that for your costume, give yourself that kind of like backup plan. Give yourself those batteries so that you can, you know, make sure it works so that everyone can see all your hard work, because you put in the effort, you put in the work for it. You want to make sure that they can see it and you want to be sure to like have fun with it. So that's another fun thing that I like to keep in here. And then if you are the kind of person that does hand sewing, you can also include in here like a needle and thread, like a little bit of needle and thread if it's like some thread for your costume. I usually keep black and white in there because usually if it's lighter fabric I can do white temporary. If it's darker fabric I can do black. But you can also just take some of the, you know, like the thread that you use to make it, and you can pop that in there too if you're cool with hand sewing at a convention. Just make sure to like cut yourself like a little piece of cardboard, or well, not cardboard but like poster board, something a little bit sturdier like a cardstock, and poke the needle through both sides just so that you don't have like a loose needle in here and then you go to get bobby pins and now you've stabbed yourself and now you need the band-aids. Like, you don't want to like accidentally steamroll yourself into like a lemony snicket ordeal, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's my other tip for cool things to put inside here. And of course, if there's anything that you can think of that you want to keep in there that you're like, oh well, I could really use this, pop it in there. You know your cosplay habits and you know your convention habits better than anyone else. Like, are you terrible about including pockets and you might want to have like money on you for like a beverage or a food item and you want to throw some money in there? Go ahead and create a little pocket pouch and put some money in there, you know? Whatever is going to work best for you. These are obviously suggestions. These are all items that I myself have used over the years going to conventions and having like issues pop up. A lot of the bigger conventions will have like a little triage booth area, so if something's like really drastically wrong, you could always head over there and they'll help you, but it's not a guarantee. Like, not every convention has it. I've certainly been to my share that don't, so taking that precaution yourself and building like your own little fun emergency kit will, you know, ensure that whatever problems may arise for you, that, you know, they can fix. Also, if your friend maybe needs like bobby pins or safety pins, you can be like, dun 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 dun, I have come prepared, and then you're the hero. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna say that you're a hero if you help someone with their cosplay, but I will say that those people that helped me with my cosplay when I had trouble were definitely my heroes. So, you know, packing that stuff is kind of fun. So. Just so here to help, don't forget to. Yes, thank you. As Ninja Librarian 2 has stated, if you guys have any questions or concerns at any stage in here, go ahead and make sure to pop your questions down below, because I want to go ahead and answer those questions. Speaking of which, I do have a couple of questions that some people sent to me on my Facebook, on my Instagram. I'm going to go ahead and kind of address those questions now, because they go into like the cleaning and the storing of costume pieces anyways, and so it kind of like segues nicely for me. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, but please feel free, if you have any questions, go ahead and list them down below so that I can go ahead and answer them for you, and hopefully be of some help and some service. So, the first one I got was, how do you clean a wig? So that depends on the wig, but most wigs, you can get a little bit of like baby shampoo and get yourself like, you're gonna have to do this by hand. You can't throw this one in the washer. Don't throw your wigs in the washer. You're gonna have a bad time. But yeah, so what you're gonna want to do, get yourself some like some baby shampoo. Get yourself like a container that can hold enough water that you can like rinse the wig with, and another container that you can kind of get it soapy, right? So usually I take like 2 pots. You can also probably get like a big plastic bowl at the dollar store, or one of those like, you know, big plastic things that like, if you ever seen the gallon size things that ice cream comes in, and then you eat all the ice cream, and then you're like, oh, I can clean this out. What do I do with it? You could use it for wigs if you want. I'm not saying 8 gallons of ice cream. I'm just saying that's a solution if you need one. But yeah, so you get a little bit of baby shampoo. You get your wig. Now this is assuming that your wig does not have any foam structures in it. Like sometimes Sailor Moon Odangos will have like the foam structures in it. This is, say your wig is just like a regular wig. It's got no hard structures in it. It's just a wig that you pop on your head, put the clips in. All right, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and not use hot water. You're going to want to use like mild warm water as opposed to hot water. Most wigs, if you get like a good wig, it can withstand a lot of heat. But if you get a wig that is more synthetic based, that is a mostly plastic wig, hot water will reset the style of your wig. So you may accidentally ruin the style of your wig if you try to wash them in extremely hot water. So I would say either cold or lukewarm water at the most. But you basically get the wig, you stick it in there, you get it wet, you rinse it out real good. Then you get a little bit of baby shampoo, very little bit of baby shampoo, and then you kind of gently work that in to, you know, through the hair, right? And then you kind of do that for a few minutes, make sure that you get all of the ends taken care of, all that good stuff. Then you take it and you put it into, you know, cool water or lukewarm water to rinse it. Like you move it from one to the other. You make sure to get all of the baby shampoo and all that stuff out. Usually it just, you know, working with your hands, it doesn't take very long. And then when you're done, you definitely don't want to like wring it out, because that's going to break some of the fibers of your wig. You'll just want to like basically like pull it out and kind of like gentle squish to get most of the water out, and then it should be kind of a little bit drippy still, and you place that on a towel, or I usually use like towels, but you could also use, I guess, paper towels. I would recommend towels. Paper towels will probably fall apart. And then you pat dry it until it's damp, and then you're going to want to just leave it either on a wig head or laying out on another drier towel so that it can air dry before you go ahead and gently like comb it out with a wig comb. Wig combs usually have wider tooths to them than the tighter ones. But that's how you would wash a wig, especially if it's a wig that you have sweated in a lot. I would definitely recommend doing that. That's fun. So I would definitely do that. Now, if it's a wig that has like foam elements into it, you're gonna pretty much want to remove those foam elements before you wash it. If they're built into it, it gets a little more tricky, because you basically have to try to like wash around those foam elements without damaging them, because, you know, they're kind of wrapped around them. I would say if you're going to add foam elements, I would definitely make it so that you can detach those foam elements later so that you can wash the wig more conveniently, and then just do the same steps as before, because that's probably for the best. Now, if it's a lace front wig and you did use like spirit gum along the edge of the lace front to attach it to your skin. Before you do the steps we recently talked about, I would get some spirit gum remover, and I would get a toothbrush from the dollar store, and I would just sit there and like lay the lace on your palm and like gently work the spirit gum remover through the lace bits while the lace bits are laying on the palm of your hand with that toothbrush. And just, it takes a little bit of time, but go all the way around and do that before you move on to the other steps. That way you can get all that spirit gum from the lace out of it before you do the regular washing steps. And then you can just, you know, brush it out. Most wigs will maintain their style after you do that. If it's a really curly one, you might have to like re-curl it, but definitely check with your wig manufacturer to make sure that it's a wig that can either withstand high heat or that there's another curling method to re-curl it. But most of the time, this works for most wigs. I would say like all the wigs I've had, it's worked with. I haven't had any trouble with any of those wigs. I guess if you sewed a hat to your wig, that's the only time this wouldn't work. You'd have to stitch rip the hat off of your wig, and then you'd have to rewash the wig and then restitch the hat back on. That's the only wig that I think this wouldn't work for. So, I did have a question. How do I speed up friends and family so that they can make it to the con on time? That one's a tricky one, because I am often the one that is late leaving to cons, because I tend to worry that I'm going to forget something, especially if it's a convention where we're spending the night. Like it's you know, like if it's like Dragon Con and it's several hours away, or it's like, you know, someplace that I'm not going to be coming home to after like the day of the con or whatever, I can struggle with leaving on time. I guess the best tip I have is the and actually I had a friend who did this for me, is to they write down a list, like a checklist of everything they'll need for the convention before they leave for the convention, and then they just go through the checklist while they're either A, packing, or B, getting dressed in the piece to go to the convention hall, so that way they have everything that they need all set. So I think the best bet for that would be to express to whoever you're attending the convention with that you have this expectation of reaching a convention at whatever time, and that's when you would like to leave to get there for the convention, and make sure that that works with their schedule and that they're understanding of what it is that you would like to have happen, just because their understanding might be different than your understanding, and it might be one of the reasons that you're like, I want to be there by this time, but then you're there like an hour late. They might not have known that you had that plan in place. So communicate with your friends, family, loved ones, whoever you're attending the convention with, and then maybe set up a plan. If you're like me and you have trouble getting to the convention like on time, make yourself a list of what you need for that piece. Or what you need for the day, or what you need for packing, so you can go through it and like get everything ready before you go. Because there's nothing worse than like getting all the way there and getting in costume and then being like, oh no, I'm the vampire without the fangs, or oh no, I forgot my prop that I spent like 3 months on, you know, like that's the worst, because you're like, oh yeah, I'm definitely a white mage. My staff is just over there. Definitely magical. I promise. You know. So I get it. I feel it. I feel you. I'm that person too sometimes. So, what is another question that we had here? What if you can't throw your cosplay into like the washing machine? Okay, so if you can't throw your costume, like if it's not a full fabric costume that you can throw into the washing machine, and it's more heavier armor pieces, I feel like you should definitely treat those similar to how you would treat like the props. You know, you want to make sure that whatever paint job that you have on your armor, you take the time to like make sure there is a protective clear coat on it. There's a number of clear coats like we covered earlier. You could use Mod Podge. You could use like the Krylon, you know, clear coat whatever you use to put a clear coat over that armor would be great, because after you're done wearing the armor, you're gonna want to go ahead and, you know, take like your Clorox bleach wipes, or, you know, even like a damp cloth with soap and water and whatever, and you're going to want to wipe them down. You're definitely not going to want to submerge your whole armor piece into the tub, because we don't often make completely water, like safe, completely water sealed armor pieces, especially if there's like foam inside of there. You don't want them to get wet and then maybe be trapped between plastic and then possibly get moldy or something like that. So don't just like submerge, don't dunk them into a tub or something like that, unless it's like, this is 100% plastic, there's no electric in this, I know this is water safe, it has no holes in it, blah blah blah. I can just, okay, fine. If that's what you want to do, that's cool. But I recommend, you know, wiping things down by hand with like either Clorox bleach wipes, face cloths, things like that, to make sure that you get them nice and clean. And then hopefully they are detachable from the fabric pieces, or at least the underneath pieces of your costume. And then you'll want to go ahead and launder those underneath pieces for however you would like to launder them. If you've made something that is like a very elaborate ball gown, you know, you have made, it's got, you know, lace on it, and it's got gems on it and things like that, even though it's a little pricier, I would consider taking it and having it like dry cleaned, as opposed to trying to find a way to shove miles and miles of fabric into your washing machine and hoping that it doesn't scratch your gems, or hoping that it doesn't accidentally like dye or ruin, you know, the lace detailing you have over it or embroidery you have over it. I would definitely consider taking it and getting it dry cleaned, as opposed to trying to like DIY that yourself. But again, if you've created the piece and you made the piece to go in the wash, like you wanted to make sure that everything was like hand sewn on and everything, then you go ahead and do it if that's what you would like to do. But remember, if it's anything that has delicate details on it, it's got embroidery, it's got lace, it's got things like that, you're gonna want to put it on a delicate cycle. You're not gonna want to throw that bad boy in on like a harsh agitation cycle, like, yeah, this is heavy and this is super hot and like just go for it. Like, put it on a delicate cycle so that it can be cleaned, but it won't necessarily like be rough enough to like rip up some of your hard work. Because I mean, you can always mend it when it comes out, but you put all that hard work into it, why would you want to ruin it and try to do all that hard work again when you could just put it on a delicate cycle? Like, I've done this before. I've been there. I had some petticoats that I tried to wash on like a high agitation cycle, and they had like lace detailing all around it. It was actually for my it was my town bell, and I had like this cute like lace detailing on it. And when it came out, all of the lace was frayed. Like, all of the lace ends were just they did not look great. They looked very bad. So I ended up having to stitch rip the lace off and then reapply new lace. And I feel like if I had done it on a delicate cycle, or maybe not in the high heat, or some combination of the two, I definitely would have had that problem. But I was like, whatever, this is fine. Psh, and then that's what happened. So just be aware that some of your lace elements and details, you know, if you have it on a high agitation cycle, it can actually damage the lacing, and it can damage that detailing. So don't do that to yourself. Succeed where I have failed. You know? Make sure that it works out good for you. Okay. So let's see here. Footwear for cosplay. That's actually a really good question. Okay, so the question is, how do you decide what footwear to wear for cosplay? You're gonna want to make sure that it's comfortable. Like, not every character wears necessarily super comfortable footwear. You know, you've got characters like Catwoman, they're high-heeled, thigh-high boots. the high heels aren't necessarily considered super comfortable, but always try to find ways of making whatever piece that you are going to wear as your footwear comfortable. Like, definitely make sure that it is in your size. Don't try to shove yourself into very tiny shoes. If you're like, oh, these shoes are perfect and they were at Goodwill and they're $10, but they're like a size too small. Don't do that. You'll regret it. I did. Make sure that it fits your foot. And actually, what you can even do is, like, all right, I gotta give this to, like, Long Story, actually was showing me she had, for her Ivy costume, she had these really cool inserts that really padded the balls of your feet. That she was talking about, that she's like, yeah, you can get these, then you can wear heels all day because you've got that extra cushioning on the balls of your feet. So, and this works even if you're not wearing high heels. Like, what if you are, doing like a Han Solo and you've got to wear, those solo boots, and you maybe bought some boots that look great, but like padding's not there. Well, you can always get like Dr. Scholl's inserts. You can get any kind of like added insert into your shoes to give yourself enough padding and enough comfort that you can wear them without your feet really hurting, because the whole purpose of cosplaying is to have fun as your favorite characters with your friends and to have a good time. But if your feet are killing you, like, you won't have fun. You'll be like, wow, when can I take this off? Because I'm dying inside. You know what I mean? Or maybe you'll be like, fashion is pain, this is fine. But then wake up the next day and be like, oh, I have destroyed my feet. Instead, kind of plan for that. If you're going to, if you're purchasing footwear that's already pre-made to look like the character, make sure to purchase it in your size, or even like a half size up if you're going to be adding a lot of inserts to them. And then make sure that before you get to the con, pop those bad boys on your feet, do a little walkie walk around your house, around your yard, around your apartment, whatever, just to kind of get a feel for them. Like, how are they comfortable? Are they not comfortable? What do I need to get? Do I need inserts? Do I need to wear like thick socks with them? Like, what do I need to wear to make these as comfortable as possible so that I can enjoy being in cosplay as long as possible? And then just plan for that. Also, I'm a big fan of breaking in pieces before you go to a convention. Like, just kind of like maybe doing like a couple, like a walk around your block or whatever in your cosplay shoes, like a couple weeks before you're planning on going to a con or something, just so that if it's a brand new shoe, you've broken it in some and you're not breaking it in while you're at a convention, and that's never fun. So that's a good question. A good question about cosplay footwear. So yeah, that's what I would recommend. Make sure you put comfortable insoles in there. Sorry, I was just checking to make sure I didn't get any other messages on my Instagram. Nope, that's the one I answered. Okay, cool, perfect. All right. So we've covered cleaning your wigs. We've covered cleaning your fabric pieces. We've covered cleaning your armor and your props. We've covered tips that you can triage your pieces with in the event that something goes wrong at a convention. We've covered how to travel with your cosplay pieces, which is actually super helpful. And then the last thing that we're going to cover is how to store your pieces, because that is the other way I have accidentally destroyed my costumes. So, like I said, if it is a fabric piece that has armor, remove the armor before you store it so that it doesn't stretch out the fabric pieces. And then when you go to put them on, now your, like, arm is on the floor because it had, like, a giant cuffling that you glued to the sleeve and it's, like, super stretched out now. And the only way to get it on is to, like, bunch it up, If it's fabric pieces that don't need to be hanged up, I always find, like, there's these really cute little plastic bags that you can get that you can kind of squeeze the air out of. I'll do that because I feel like getting that extra air out helps keep them kind of, fresh. Those are nice. You can also store them. They make lots of different like little storage solutions. Like you can get those little fabric cubby things or things like that. But I will fold my pieces that don't need to be like bodysuits. Like I have a stretchy bodysuit for Uravity. I have one for Spider-Gwen. I will just fold those up because they're very easy to like fold neatly and store into like a tiny like little cubby thing, and that's great. Armor pieces, you're gonna want to make sure to get like a bin or even like a sturdy box or something to place them in. I like to prefer plastic bins over the boxes because I noticed that some cardboard is very susceptible to change with the moisture in your atmosphere, and you don't want it to yellow any of your pieces because the cardboard has like a yellowish dye in it anyways, and if you have like white armor and it's laying against it, you can get some discoloration there. So I tend to stay away from cardboard boxes. You can do it in a pinch, or maybe if you like did it, like line it with something that's not gonna bleed. I don't know, maybe shelving liner would work. But I usually tend to use like little plastic cubby things for those. Anything that you do hang up, I like to get the zipper garment bags for like my big ball gowns, like my bell ball gown and things like that, because you put in there, you zip it up, and now you know it's not going to get like tangled up in everything else that's hanging up in that particular space. Like I have the little fabric loopies on the bell, they're not going to get tangled up and caught up in those. So that's a good way to store those. And then I like to store all of my, I have a wall I store all of my props on right now. I just got like one of those like pegboards, and then I like hang them up there. But if you're not gonna like hang them up, like find a nice shelf or someplace that's not gonna have a lot of change in humidity to store your props with. That's always a good one. And then I like to keep my accessories in Ziploc bags and like poke a hole through them and like hang them up with the dress that they need to be hung up with, or put them in the same box that I folded like the bodysuit with. So like earrings and things like that. But you can also just put them in their own space. I think that it's easier to put them in Ziploc bags to keep them separated so that the pieces themselves don't like rub into each other, especially if you have like a lot of necklaces. They could get tangled on each other, amulets get tangled on each other, earrings can scratch each other, that kind of thing. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. We've got just about 5 more minutes left, so does anybody have any other questions or like concerns that they were anybody have anything that I didn't cover that maybe you're interested in knowing about? Okay, no one said anything yet, so that's good. Hopefully that means I've done a good job covering everything. Perfect. I'm going to do one more sweep, make sure I didn't miss any other messages. Okay. I was recently in Galaxy's Edge, have several lightsabers and blades with those lightsabers. How do I get them on and off of planes? Okay, yes, we just solved this problem because we ended up having 4 different blades. So in case you don't know, if you are flying with a lightsaber and you have it in its own sleeve, it is considered a carry-on. They will let you take them on as a carry-on. So like if you have like a personal item, like a laptop bag, briefcase bag, or purse, that can count as your personal item, and then a lightsaber in a bag can count as your carry-on. Now at Star Wars Galaxy Edge, they do have lightsaber bags that you can use, but what we did for us when we had multiple ones was we actually got one of those plastic I think I have it here. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull it out for you so you guys can see it. I'll be right back. Haha, I am returned. Okay, this is what we ended up using. So it's basically for like keeping like posters and things like that in. And this one that we had, you can see it opens up. We got ours from Hobby Lobby. It's telescoping, which means like right now it's this size, but you can, extend it. Let me take this lid off first. So you just twist and you can extend it for as long as you need it to be. and it was wide enough that we were actually able to fit 4 of the Galaxy's Edge lightsaber blades into safely. And we ended up taking like fabric and wrapping each blade in fabric before we put them in the tube together. And then we just carried this on as our carry-on. It was that simple. And it was, actually I think it still has the tag on here. It does. Has a tag on here. But we carried it on as our carry-on. It's stored, even with 4 blades fully extended. One of them was the 36-inch, which is the largest blade they make at Galaxy's Edge. One of the blades in here was the largest blade they make at Galaxy's Edge. We were able to store them all in the overhead compartments. And they made it safely. Nothing was damaged. Everything's worked great. So that's actually, yeah. So speaking of Galaxy's Edge, if you are going and you are going to be buying multiple lightsaber blades, the bags that they give you for the Star Wars experience will only hold 1 lightsaber blade in it. This is a good solution if you want to bring more than 1 lightsaber blade back with you and you happen to be flying. I also think it's really helpful if you're driving to put them in something like a hard plastic container like that so that they don't get damaged while you're traveling as well, because things can get jostled and all of that. It was fairly cheap. I think we got it for $12, like $12 or $13 at Hobby Lobby. It wasn't even that expensive, and it's really sturdy. It worked really well. I was really pleased with that. So yeah, that's, if you are in the market for taking your lightsabers to conventions and you want to find something to easily put, now the 4 blades we fit in there, they were detached from the hilt. But if you didn't want to detach it, I would detach it from the hilt anyways, just because I feel like it's safer to travel with it detached. And I would put the heavier hilt, like either in your checked bag, or like in my case, my purse, or like briefcase bag, something like that instead, and then just carry on the blades. I think that's the best bet. That's what we did. It worked really well, and hopefully that helps you if you're planning on going anywhere and doing any Jedi things, and you need to safely travel with your lightsaber blades. So, I love the fun stuff behind her. Oh, thank you, Ninja Librarian. Yes, this is actually the Holocron. Like this one, like when you turn it, it lights up. Yeah, and it, like, you can take the crystals and you can put it in here, and it'll tell you about them. So these are really cool too. I would definitely recommend checking these because they look very suspicious to TSA. Just so you know, put these in your checked bags. Be very cautious. Yeah. So, that is basically it. You guys did it. Thank you so much, for coming by. Thank you, for all your questions. Does anybody have any other questions before I head out today? Because I do want to make sure that if you guys have any, I answer them. We did have a little bit of a snafu earlier with my tech, and we lost a little bit of time there. So does anyone have any other questions before we go? Any questions? Jedi Order. I don't know. Nope. Looks good. Okay, I'm going to double check here. Perfect. Okay, so it looks like we have answered everybody's questions today. If there's anything else that you think of after I leave that you are still questioning about, feel free to message me, both on my Instagram or on my Facebook. They're both So Excited Cosplay. So I'm really glad you guys all came out today. Thank you. Thank you very much for stopping by. I really appreciate it, everybody. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks. Bye.